So today I'm visiting my grandpa, and I decided that for today's vlog, I'm going to leave my face out of it, and I'm going to let Grandpa entertain you. And as you probably figured out by now, Grandpa is the world's oldest living teenager, and he thinks he's a leprechaun. He's very funny. He knows just about every Irish joke there is and just about every Irish song that there is. So I'm going to let Grandpa entertain you guys, and he's got some pretty cool stuff he wants to share. So this is my Grandpa Steve Martin.
Hi. Top of the morning to you. It's that wild, crazy guy, old Steve Martin, the leprechaun and the oldest, youngest teenager. Well, you know, Patty and Shannon attended this dinner party at a house. There's some friends. And when they got through and they're sitting in the car, Shannon goes, You must be a hog. You had 3 desserts. Not only that, but the hostess must think you're awful greedy. I don't think so. What do you mean you don't think so? Well, I told him it was for you.
That's awesome.
Molly had been out on a blind date. The following morning, her best friend, Deidre, asked her, how was the date? She says, it was terrible. Says, he showed up in a chauffeur-driven, mint condition, 1939 Rolls-Royce Phantom. Wow! So terrible about that. What was it? Molly sighed. He was the original owner. True.
Awesome.
Patty applied for a job as a laborer on a building site. Kelly, the foreman, interviewed him. Can you brew tea? Patty replied, right, I can brew tea. Kelly asked, can you drive a forklift? Patty looked at him and said, just how big is that bloody pot? Patty happened to come into work, and his boss says, I happen to know that you were playing golf instead of coming to work yesterday. He says, that's our downright lie, and I got the fish to prove it. Mick and Danny were at a pub quietly nursing a couple of pints when Mick proclaimed to Danny, when I was young, I was poor. But after many years of hard work, I'm no longer young.
You're going to have to excuse my giggles because I actually haven't heard some of these. He's come up with some new ones.
When I die, I want to pass away like Grandpa Murphy, who died peacefully in his sleep, not screaming like the rest of the passengers in the car.
Oh my God.
The judge read out the charges and asked Murphy, who was standing in the dock, are you the defendant in this case? No, sir, Your Honor, sir. Murphy replied, I've got a solicitor to do that. I'm the one who done it. Several Irishmen were playing poker. I win, says O'Rourke. Ryan threw down his cards and said, that's it. I've had it. O'Rourke is cheating. How can you tell? Asked Sullivan. That's easy, replied Ryan. Those aren't the cards I dealt him.
Oh.
Oh, you know, Island had the worst disaster occurred early this morning when a small 2-seat Cessna crashed in the cemetery in the remote area of Country County. Irish search and rescue workers have recovered 1,826 bodies so far.
Oh my gosh.
And they expect the number to climb as the digging continues through the night.
Oh my gosh.
You hadn't heard none of them.
No, I haven't. This is all new stuff. You've been doing some homework.
Yeah. Well, now I got a cute little song here. And Tina, you can go shh for me.
Okay, I'll do the shush.
You ready?
Yes. Hopefully I remember how to do
Oh, there was a little fly who flew into a store, and he upon the ceiling, and he upon the floor, and he on the bacon, and he upon the ham, and he upon the head of the little grocer man. Well, the little grocer man got a little spray gun. He swore that he'd kill the fly before the day was done. But before he counted 10, the fly went out the door and went on the bald-headed man again. Oh, there was a little fly, and he flew into the store, and he upon the ceiling, and he upon the floor, and he upon the bacon, and he upon the ham, and he upon the head of the little grocer man. Well, the little grocer man and his little grocer wife swore they'd kill the fly even if it meant their life. So they got themselves a hand grenade and put it on the floor and blew themselves to blazes as the fly flew out the door. Now, there was a little fly, and he flew into the store. He upon the ceiling, and he upon the floor, and he upon the bacon, and he upon the ham, and he upon the head of the little grocer man. Well, they both went up to heaven, and the angels they were made. St. Peter said, "Good people, you will be repaid." He got the grocer angel wingsing. He flew up in the sky, then he dived down like a bomber, and he upon the fly. Oh, there was a little fly, and he flew into the store, and he upon the ceiling, and he upon the floor, and he upon the bacon, and he upon the ham, and he upon the head of the little grocer man.
That is bad, Grandpa. Oh my God.
They wouldn't let me sing that one at church.
I'll bet they wouldn't. You guys are getting to see some of what me and Grandpa get up to when we're just hanging out.
Now, when I was young, I spent some time across with me Uncle Mike, and I must have spent 100 miles on the crossbar of his bike. We would go along the lane, and he would start to sing a song without a single word, to the sound of the bicycle bells ring. He'd go, "Bye bye, skiddly-di, diddly-di-do, skiddly-di-do, diddly-di, diddly-di-day. Bye bye, skiddly-di, diddly-di-do, skiddly-di-do, diddly-dum-day." Whenever he got lonely, he'd often say to me, "Come down." Yeah, I followed it up. I'm sorry. Whenever he'd get lonely, he'd often say to me, "Put down the wireless and I'll tell you how things used to be. We had no television, no CD or stereo, and if you required some music, then you had to make your own like this. Bye bye, skiddly-di, diddly-di-do, skiddly-di-do, diddly-di, diddly-di-day. Bye bye, skiddly-di, diddly-di-do, skiddly-di-do, diddly-dum-day. When all the hay was gathered in, safe from winter's harm, well, it'd be a celebration in the kitchen of the farm. We wouldn't get through till daybreak, sometimes in a quiet state. His May would ask him where he'd been, and she would tell her straight. He'd go, "Bye bye, skiddly-di, diddly-di-do-dum, skiddly-di-do, diddly-di, diddly-di-day. Bye bye, skiddly-di, diddly-di-do-dum, skiddly-di-do, diddly-dum-day." Well, after church on Sundays, across the road we stand, along with all the other lads in the country suits so grand. We would go along the lane, and I followed up with again.
Speak the words, you'll catch it.
The girls would go parading by, and they would ask him then, forget it. Forget this one.
Are you going to the dance tonight?
Yeah, yes. Are you going to the dance? Who you taking to the dance tonight? Oh, he'd go bye-bye, skiddly-di-da-dee-da-dum, skiddly-di-do-dee-da-di-diddly-di-day. Bye-bye, skiddly-di-da-dee-da-dum, skiddly-di-do-dee-da-dum day. Well, Uncle Mike, he passed away when I was a man myself. He left me his cottage, an acre, with the sum of his worldly wealth. He was loved by everyone in the country and the town, and he never saw such a big crowd as when they laid old Mikey down. We all sang bye-bye, skiddly-di-di-da-dee-da-di-dum, skiddly-di-do-dee-da-di, diddly-di-day. Bye-bye, skiddly-di-da-dee-da-di-dum, skiddly-di-do-dee-da-dum day. Bye-bye, skiddly-di-da-dee-da-di-dum, skiddly-di-do-dee-da-di-dum day. Bye-bye, skiddly-di-da-dee-da-di-dum, skiddly-di-do-dee-da-dum day. Well, let's see. How about now Delaney had a donkey that everyone admired, temporarily lazy and permanently tired. A leg on every corner, balance in his head, a tail to let you know which end to be fed. Riley shyly said, we've underrated it, why not train it? So they took a rag. Well, they rubbed it, scrubbed it, oiled and imbricated it, got it to the post when the starter dropped the flag. And they was Riley pushing it, shoving it, shushing it, Hogan, Logan, everyone in town lined up attacking it, shoving it and smacking it. They may as well try to push the town hall down. The donkey was eyeing 'em and totally defying 'em, a winking, blinking, twisting out of place. Riley reversing it, everybody cursing it, the day Delaney's donkey ran the half-mile race. The muscles of the mighty, never known to flinch, well, he couldn't budge the donkey a quarter of an inch. Delaney lay exhausted, hanging round his throat, like a Scotsman hanging on to a 5-pound note. Starter, cutter, he lined up the rest of them. When he saw them, it was wheeling then. Well, he raced up, braced up, ready for the best of them. They started off to cheer, and he changed his mind again. They was really pushing it, shoving it, shushing it, Hogan, Logan, Mary Ann McGrath. She started choking it, poking it, and coaxing it, kicked her in the bustle and it laughed. The Whigs and Conservatives, the relatives, superlatives, the Liberals, Tories, howdy to the place, stood there in unity, helping the community, the day Delaney's donkey ran the half-mile race. The crowd began to cheer it, and Rafferty, the judge, he came to assist, but still he wouldn't budge. The jockey who was riding it was little John McGee, was so terribly disgusted that he went and had his tea. Hagen, Fagan were students of psychology, swore they'd shift it, with some dynamite. Well, they bought it, brought it, and then without apology, the donkey gave a sneeze and blew the whole lot out of light. And they was really pushing it, shoving it, shushing it, Hogan, Logan, and the Bally crew. Police auxiliary, the garrison artillery, the second ilk of stilts and the lifeguards too. They pushed it, hurried it, picked it up and carried it, steered it, shared it to the winning place. Then the bookies, they all drew aside. They all committed suicide the day Delaney's donkey won the half-mile race.
Okay, you gotta sing the Bricklayer song and the Bologna song. You guys gotta hear the Bricklayer song and the Bologna song. They're just funny.
Okay.
They're just too funny. Can you remember all the words?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dear sir, I write this note to you to tell you of me plight. For at the time of writing I am not a pretty sight. Me body is all black and blue, me face is deathly grey. And I write this note to tell you I am not at work today. While working on the 14th floor, some bricks I had to clear. Now to toss them off from such a height, 'twas not a great idea. The foreman wasn't very pleased. He is an awkward sort. He said I'd have to cut them down the ladders in me hod. Now clearing all these bricks by hand, it was so very slow. So I hoisted up about a land, secured a rope below. But in me haste to do the job, I was too blind to see that a barrel full of building bricks was heavier than me. So when I untied the rope, the barrel fell like lead. Still clinging tightly to the rope, I started up instead. Well, I shot up like a rocket, and to my dismay I found that halfway up I met the bloody barrel coming down. Now the barrel broke me shoulder as to the ground it sped. And when I reached the top, I banged the pulley with me head. Me body was all racked with pain from this almighty blow, and the barrel spilled out half the bricks some 14 floors below. Now when the bricks had fallen from the barrel to the floor, I then started down to the ground once more. The sound of this collision halfway down the office block caused multiple contusions and a nasty state of shock. Still clinging tightly to the rope, I sped towards the ground and landed on those broken bricks the barrel scattered round. And as I lay there moaning, I thought the worst had passed. But the barrel hit the pulley wheel and then the bottom burst. A shower of bricks rained down on me. I didn't have a hope. For as I lay there moaning, I let go the bloody rope. The barrel being unsecured, it started down once more and landed right across me as I laid there on the floor. I thought the worst was over. I smiled up the song. Thought the worst was over. Oh man.
This is what editing is for. So if you think of it, just keep saying it.
Yeah, it's well, I got my head banged. You know, it happens sometimes that you forget things. Well, as I lay there moaning, I let go the bloody rope. The barrel being unsecured, it started down once more and landed right across me as I lay there on the floor. Well, it broke 3 ribs in my right arm, and I can only say, I hope you understand why I'm not at work today. Well, I got a slight concussion when I hit that pulley up there, and you know, sometimes you forget something like that. Well,
that's great.
Well, here's an old song. And it goes, 2 Irishmen in Scotland went out one day for recreation, where they took along provisions enough to last a week's vacation. But they got lost out in the woods. The night was dark and lonely. They ate and ate till nothing was left except a piece of bologna. Now Mahoney says he picked up the knife. Now what's the sense in carving? Should we share it all alike? it wouldn't keep us from starving. So I suggest we go to bed. And no one says, Mahoney, the one who has the nicest dream, will eat the piece of bologna. Well, the very next morning they all arose, 7:15. The first one says, I dreamt last night, I died and went to heaven. I don't think I can beat the dream, so I'll eat the bologna. The second one says, I had a dream too, I died and went to heaven, riding on a pony. I don't think I can beat that dream, so I'll eat the bologna. Mahoney says, it's all very true, true what you've been saying. I dreamt I saw you both last night, Guy and go to heaven. And I was feeling so lonely, since I got up in the middle of the night, and I ate the bologna.
Too funny.
Now, here's an old song from a Walt Disney movie. Have you ever seen the seagulls flying o'er the heather, all the crimson sails on Galway Bay? The fishermen unfurl, sure there's lots of joy and beauty. It's gathered all together in the form and grace and pretty face of my pretty Irish girl. For she's me dear, me darling one, me smiling and beguiling one. I love the ground she walks upon, my pretty Irish girl. Have you ever seen the morning in Kelly or Killarney, when the dew is on the hayrack and every drop's a pearl, where the geese are speaking Blarney, the thrush is singing Gaelic, and standing in the doorway is my pretty Irish girl? For she's me dear, me darling one, me smiling and beguiling one. I love the ground she walks upon, my pretty Irish girl. When I'm separated from my darling, my sighs would sail a schooner, my tears would surely turn a mill. But since my darling cannot harm a single living creature, I think that I will marry me, my pretty Irish girl, for she is me dear, me darling one, me smiling and beguiling one. I love the ground she walks upon.